I wanted to jump in here. It's been a while since we've done a money mentoring over coffee, and I've had a lot of questions come in on the hotline. So, first things first, how y'all doing? It's so good to be here with y'all. Um, this is a chance. I just got done doing a an interview for a podcast, which is going to be epic coming out. I've got some new things coming out in 2023, so this is going to be fun. But I wanted to jump in here. I wanted to see about some questions. I wanted to answer some questions. I wanted to help you through something. Let me know where you're coming in from. Say hello. I hope that your holiday season is going well, and that you've got some amazing plans to celebrate, to reflect, to appreciate what we have. So do me a favor, if you get a chance, let me know, say hello. I've got you on Facebook, all my Facebook groups, and Instagram. I've got you Instagram Live, all over the place. So Paula's in the house, Angela's in the house. So good to see you all. Actually, I don't see you, to know that you're here. So here's what I want to do. I want to talk about a couple of questions that have come in on the hotline. If you have questions for me, you can post them here. But if I'm not live, you can always send me questions through askmelnow.com, askmelnow.com, video, audio, text, whatever. I'll bring them on. Some of these questions that I'm going to answer came in through the hotline. And so the reason is that this platform, the platforms that I have, are really about us having sane, safe conversations around money, around investing, around the stock market, around your life, around creating financial freedom. As I've said over and over again, is that I truly believe that financial freedom is your birthright. I mean, I believe that to my core, no matter what society says, no matter what the media says about money. And it's not the money that we want. It is the time that it gives us to do the things that we want to do, to get behind the causes that are near and dear to us, to do the things that actually matter, to create legacy, and to live a life that outlives us. You know, it's that really drives everything we do. This is why in the Affluence Blueprint, we say that one of the first critical outcomes is to live a richer lifestyle. And often people will go, well, wait a second, richer? Now, here's how I define richer. Richness isn't wealth. Wealth is the number of commas and decimal points in your bank account. It is a number, it's a statistic. Richness is how you experience life. Richness is how you feel about life. Richness is what you give to life. And so if we're truly going to feel affluent, if we're truly going to live that existence of an affluent life, then it's important for us to know that we're living that richness, that we're experiencing it in a way that is fulfilling us, that is juicing us, that is causing us to thrive and energizes us. Okay. And so it allows us to be able to do that in a way that makes it happen, living a rich life. You know, affluence in my world is not about opulence. Opulence is having stuff. Stuff doesn't matter. Affluence is built on 4 pillars. Affluence is about living a meaningful life, something that is visceral and meaningful to you, that drives your heart and soul, that gets your heart to skip a beat to do that. It's the second pillar then, is that it's an impactful life, that we're having an impact on the people we love, the people we serve, the customers, the people around us, the community, that we actually make sure that they're better because we were here. The third pillar of an affluent life is that it's a fruitful life, that we actually have the cash and the things that we want to have to be able to live fully into our calling, to live fully into what we're doing, to do it in that means. So that's the only thing that has to do with money and affluence, because the fourth pillar of an affluent life is that it is a peaceful life. There's a lot of people that have a lot of money and they have no peace at all. So it's about living a peaceful life at the same time that we have a fruitful life, a meaningful life, and an impactful life. That's affluence. And this is my wish for you during the holidays. It's my wish for you moving forward, is that you get a chance to get the tools, the skills, and the guidance to be that affluent person, to live that affluent life, to live in the richness of life, no matter what's going on. No matter what's going on. So everything we do, everything I do is to help you on that journey. And so that's why I do these lives. That's why I have the programs. That's why I go out and speak and everything. I'm actually on a plane tomorrow, believe it or not. So y'all, I'm coming to Austin tomorrow, but I'm not there for very long. But so with that's kind of the how I look at it. And I just want to be able to have a conversation with you. If you have things that are going on, you can ask your questions in the comment boxes. I'll make sure that I answer them. I've got some questions here that I'm going to answer that came in on the hotline, and make sure that you are served in this journey. And if you want to come on live on Instagram, I can bring you on live on Instagram too. All right. But here's the deal. Let's just start with one question that came in. And here's what it says. How do you keep from getting down or discouraged when your progress slows down? You know, I was in a good place. I was doing well. The market didn't do well for me investing this year. And I had a couple of setbacks. And this is from Jay. Well, Jay, first off, thank you for bringing that here, and I think that you're not alone in this feeling. Is that, look, the market this year, investing in the market this year wasn't really a fun experience, unless you like roller coasters, unless you like that. But here's what I know: when we are looking at a plan, when we are looking at investing, when we're looking at building wealth, it's a long-term journey. And too often we make our decisions based on short-term, based on the recency of what is going on in the market or in the world. And we believe that what just happened is going to happen over and over again the rest of our lives. And all of a sudden we extend that impact forever, as if it's never going to change. And as much as we might be going through rocky times, as much as we might have some setbacks, this too shall pass. And I know it's easy for me to say, but listen, 2019, I was diagnosed with cancer. It put a roadblock in my way. It put the brakes on. I mean, my whole life got shifted around, saying, oh, wait a second, priorities. What are we focusing on? I mean, it was certainly a setback. And at the same time, it allowed me to reflect. It allowed me to learn. So, Jay, one of the questions I would ask is, what lessons came out of that setback so you can move forward faster and make sure that it doesn't come back again? 1. 2, making sure that you have a plan in place. We call it a cash resource plan, a financial plan in place that is moving you towards a vision that's specific to what you want. And that we're not just haphazardly or coincidentally going through life hoping that we get to wherever we want. You're like planning a journey, and the journey is to a financial destination. And if we haven't defined the financial destination, then we don't have the map to get there. So I would look to make sure that we have the plan. If the setbacks take you off the plan, then we just got to get back on the plan. And then the other thing to think about is to make sure that you have a community and guidance and a place where you can open up and have these safe conversations. This is why I want you in the Affluent Entrepreneur Facebook group or here with me, because it's not just me, it's the community of people, like-minded people moving on this journey in this direction. So we can have these conversations because you're not alone with setbacks or slowing progress and that kind of thing. And sometimes what ends up happening is what we interpret as slowing down is really this compression of a spring that when it releases, you rifle forward. But we don't know that when we're in the middle of it. So hopefully that helps you, Jay. And know that you're not alone and we're here for you. So great question. All right. So question just came in on Instagram. Let me just answer that and then we'll go back to the other questions. I'm in the process. This is Maria Kalikas. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I'm in the process of filing my coaching business. I saw you at the coaching summit. Yay! So you were there. That was such a fun event. Oh my God. It's so good to be able to speak live again. So I went there, I spoke there. I spoke in Fort Lauderdale last week, and we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. So I saw you at Coaching Summit. I want to know your thoughts on filing an S Corp versus an LLC. All right. So Maria, would you be open to coming on live with me? If you are, let me know, and we can do this because I want to get a little more information from you. Let's see. I'm going to. Yes. All right. So let's do this. Go live. Awesome. As she's coming on, because this is a great question. A lot of people have this question. We even had this conversation on the podcast interview that I just did. So y'all on Facebook and everything won't be able to see her, but you'll be able to hear us, and we'll make sure that you know exactly what she's saying. Hi, Maria. How are you?
Wow, this is so cool. Thank you so much for answering my question, for inviting me on the live. This is incredible.
Oh my God, it's so good to have you here. So appreciate it, and so cool that you were at Coach's Summit. That was a heck of an event. It was so cool.
That was such an outstanding event, and I absolutely loved your talk at that event. And actually, I was just talking with somebody a couple hours ago, and I mentioned your name and just the insight I got from you at that
Oh my
event.
God, thank you.
I literally was just on a call and just had the idea of maybe I should file this as an S Corp instead, and just really from thinking about what you presented there, and yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
Cool. So here's some thoughts. You're just starting out in your business?
Yeah, this business.
Okay, so you're just starting out in this business, so your revenues and profits aren't really high at this point. So generally, what was that?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
But I do, have an estimate for what I'll be going for this year through one-on-one coaching.
Yep.
And I already know what prices are going to be.
Cool. So here's what we normally tell our clients and the people that we work with in our elite or our masters. Here's what to think about is that, and it depends on your circumstance. I don't know all your circumstances, but generally speaking, we have people start out as an LLC before they convert to S corporation. And the reason for that is it's simpler. Okay. It's more flexible. And from a cost standpoint, it's less costly. Okay. But there comes a threshold where your income goes up high enough that it becomes more expensive, because the way an LLC is taxed is that 100% of the income coming from the LLC is subject to self-employment tax, which is a 15.3% tax. That isn't the same in an S corporation. So typically the tipping point is right around $60,000 or so. When your net income is around $60,000 or so, it may make sense to start looking at converting the LLC to an S corporation, because now what happens is you'll take a salary, and the salary will be subject to Social Security, but the rest of the income won't be subject to the self-employment tax, and you can save on self-employment tax. I have one of our clients that we had them do this. Now, you might sit back and go, well, what happens if I get towards the end of the year and realize my income was higher? I should have been an S Corp the whole time. you can actually go back and retroactively elect to be an S corporation. One of my clients is doing that right now, and literally she's going to end up saving $24,000 by doing a retroactive election, payroll, and getting it dialed in. But you won't get that savings if you're just starting out, because the cost of doing an S corporation, having to do salary and payroll returns and all that stuff is going to offset it. So typically we say start off as an LLC. If you start to see your income creeping up and all of a sudden that income is going to be at a level that it makes sense, then you can do a retroactive election if need be, or you make an election for the next year to be taxed as an S corporation. So that's the way we would approach it.
So if I already know with my pricing, I can anticipate, with my first 10 clients exceeding that $60,000, would it be more wise to go toward an S corp now, or still go the LLC route?
So if you're seeing that you believe you'll exceed the 60,000 just based on pricing and everything, the question is that going to be net, or is that just the gross? Because what we're talking about is 60,000 net. That's after all your expenses.
I would assume it's more than, the net, because it's just like them paying for my one-on-one certified high performance coaching.
Okay. And you have costs like internet and all that stuff that's going to run through all there?
I already have internet.
Is it running through another business?
No, this is going to be exclusively its own.
Okay.
It's a new business.
So you could do it. You could start off as an S corporation. Here's the challenge. You can't go backwards the other way. So this is why I typically will say start with an LLC. It's more flexibility, because once you move to an S corp, you're not going to be able to go back.
Awesome.
And then get the momentum, get the revenue running, get this thing rolling, and then you could turn around and say, all right, let's do a conversion. Because what you're going to have to do is take a salary check now. So that means that you have regular payroll tax returns every quarter, W-2s. So there's expense associated with that.
All right, that sounds definitely more simplified to do the LLC route, especially like with me starting this out, not having team right away. That's going to be a lot easier for me.
Yeah. So I would start off as an LLC because of the simplicity. It's not complicating it. And, you get a chance to reevaluate mid-year or late in the year. And if need be, make a retroactive election, convert some of the distributions into payroll, and you're good to go.
Hey, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, you got it, Maria. Listen, blessed to have you here, and go crush it next year. Make a difference in people's lives. This is a gift that you're bringing to the world. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Mel. I appreciate you too and your wisdom. You're amazing.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you so much. I have no idea how to take you down off of this, so you might have to log out. But
let's figure this one out. How does this work?
So you might have to log out and log back in. But
I figured out. It says leave.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So bye, and
have a great holiday.
You too. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Awesome. Such a good question. So if there's more questions, let me know. We'll bring you on and do that. In the meantime, I'm going to go to another question that came in on the hotline. I see some of our friends. Drew Hitchcock is in the house, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. Body, Mind, Energy Expander, thank you for being here. And Amy, thank you for being here. And Paula and Angela, yes. So, all right. So let me go to the second question that came in. This is from Sheila, and she said, I have it just page away. So it says, I have $39,000 in student loans. I need to put money away for a surgery late next year, $15,000 to $16,000. Hopefully it is nothing serious and that it is elective. I am making $30,000 a year. I am 33 years old. Should I save for the surgery or pay my student loans first? So This is an interesting question. This is an interesting question in the sense of, um, first off, I want to make sure that people start to understand my philosophy on student loans. Uh, I I am not one that likes student loans, and these Sheila's already got the loan, so I can't. I'm not fixing it. But if you're going to take student loans out, that we typically say you don't take more than a 1 to 12 to 18 months of your opening salary, so you don't get yourself buried. There's too many people that are coming out of school with a degree that pays them $20,000, $30,000, but they end up with $100,000 in student loan debt and they can't get out of it. And you can sit there and hope that there's going to be forgiveness and all that stuff, but it's all caught up in politics. And if it is, it's a gift, but that's not a plan. It's not a way to go after it. So there are ways to get an education without putting yourself with an albatross of debt around your neck, whether it's going to community college first, whether it's getting scholarships and doing things to get in there. And especially as a parent, those parents out there, um, you don't put your financial future in jeopardy just because you want to put your kids into an Ivy League school. I'm just sorry. It's blunt, but it's true. The fact is you don't know if your children are going to finish school. You don't even know if they're going to go to school. But if you jeopardize your financial future because you want to give them this Ivy League education and they want to go there and get an art degree, nothing wrong with art degrees, okay? And now you've got yourself a whole heap of debt and you put your financial future in jeopardy. The greatest gift you can give your children is not show up on their doorstep and say, I can't afford to live. I need to live in your basement. Can I move in with you? Okay. And so I think it's important for you to start to look at it through those eyes. What we tell our clients is it's important to make sure that your financial future is assured, that it is dialed in before you start worrying about their college education. It's just the way it is, because the one thing that I know is your financial future is a certainty. Their college education isn't. So, having gone off the soapbox, let me get back with the question. The question is, do I pay my student loans or do I save for surgery? So, first things first, have you negotiated with the medical provider on the surgery? Because medical bills are actually very, very negotiable. In fact, I think everything's negotiable. It's just a matter of asking what's going on. I'm assuming from this question that it's not a surgery that's covered by um, it's not a surgery that's covered by insurance. So this is an elective surgery, and it's going to have to be paid out in cash. Well, when you're paying cash, you can negotiate with them more readily. So I would look at that. Second, what I would start to do is you're not necessarily going to be in a situation where the surgery, depending on how they finance the surgery, where there's interest costs on the surgery. There are avenues to finance medical bills that they'll give you a payment plan absent interest. So if that's the case, I would start paying the student loans first, knowing that I can get my surgery paid for without interest and get out from under the interest of the student loans first. And so that's probably the way I would look at it at first. Now, if you have other things that allow you um, to put money away for medical, it may change it. For instance, if you're in some sort of medical plan that you can put money away, HSA, I wouldn't recommend an HSA if you know you have a $15,000 surgery coming up, because you're going to hit. It's a high deductible plan, and you're going to hit those deductibles. There's going to be more money out of pocket. So it just depends on those criteria. But I probably would get after the student loan debt versus saving for the surgery, and work on negotiating some sort of payment terms on the surgery side as we're going into it. Now, that is assuming you have in place. We tell our people that we want a comfort fund in place, which is $1,500 or 1 month's expenses. That first. And second, I want to make sure that you have some sort of emergency fund, what we call a peace of mind fund, in place to carry you should anything happen with respect to to that. So we want to make sure you have the liquidity in place to carry yourself during those times. And then I would start to really hammer at the student loan. So hopefully that helps. Awesome. Great question. Maria, yes, you can negotiate medical bills. Oh my God. They're probably one of the most negotiable things around. And in fact, here's the other problem with these medical bills. The majority of bankruptcies are due to medical bills because we let them get out of control. So Pamela Bradley is asking, do you have a separate internet in your house for your business? And the answer is no, I don't. Well, I can't say that. We have the main internet, and I have a backup internet because I do so many lives and stuff. I don't want to change because I also do keynote speaking, virtual keynote speaking. So I can't take the chance of, Cox Cable coming in and deciding they're going to do work on the cable. Now I have no internet here, so I have a backup system to do that. So, and then Pamela's asking, isn't there a pause on student loans until June? There is a pause, but that doesn't mean that you have to stop paying. If people would have used the pause period to continue to pay with a no interest, they would have paid that debt down a lot faster in the process. But they thought it was a gift and they kicked the can down the road, and now it's coming back to haunt them. I think that we should have kept on paying. So the gift was the fact that they paused the interest and you could have kept on paying. So even though there's a pause till June, doesn't mean that we pause the payments, at least not in my book. Okay. Shannon Weinstein's in the house. So good to have you here, my friend. Great. All right. Other questions. Let's see. This one came in. If you have questions, post them in. If you want to come on live, let me know. I'm going to take another question from the hotline. Would you recommend contributing to a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k after I get the employer match? Okay, so let's just really be clear. What is a Roth? A Roth is where you're contributing money to an account. You don't get a tax deduction for it. So you're paying the taxes up front. But when you take the money out down the road, whether it's 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 100% of it is completely tax-free. 100% of it is completely tax-free, including the growth. If you put money into a regular 401k or a regular IRA or a regular retirement account, you get a tax deduction today. And when you take the money out, 100% of it is taxable. So $1 million in a Roth or $1 million in an IRA are not the same $1 million. One's going to pay tax and one's not. So the question that they're asking here is, should I do a Roth IRA or should I do a Roth 401k? And here's the thing to consider is that if we look at a Roth IRA, what happens is that you actually have some limitations. You can only put away $6,500 a year into a Roth. If you're over 50, you can put an extra $1,000 a year. So your maximum contribution is $7,500 into a Roth IRA. Okay. Now, when you look at a Roth 401k, your contribution is much higher. It's $23,000 or $30,000, depending on whether you're 50 years old or greater. Okay, so you have the ability to put more in if you are going in the 401k. Now, there's some things to consider here when you do this. One is this. In order to contribute to a Roth IRA, there are income limitations. And so if you are in a high income bracket, you actually may not even qualify to put money into a Roth IRA, so you're stuck. Okay? In a Roth 401k, there are no income limitations. So no matter what your income is, you can actually participate in a Roth. Now, I love Roth money because it's tax-free down the road. Okay? So I like that. There's a couple of other benefits to putting money into a Roth. Typically, one is it's tax-free. Two, a regular Roth IRA isn't subject to something called required minimum distributions, RMDs. At age 72, at age 72, the government is going to require you to take money out of your retirement accounts, Roth 401k, 401k, pensions, IRAs. They're basically going to say, you've had this long enough, you got to start paying tax on it. And they will force you to draw the money out. But a Roth IRA, they do not. You have no RMDs. The second benefit is that if you inherit an IRA or a retirement account, the people who your heirs, the people that inherit it, will have to pay tax on that inheritance. But if they inherit the Roth, the tax has already been paid. But here's the difference, one key distinction between a Roth 401k and a Roth IRA. So the 401k, remember I said the Roth IRA isn't subject to RMDs, required minimum distributions, but the Roth 401k is. So in order to avoid the RMDs on the Roth portion of the 401k, you may need to do a conversion, move it out to a Roth IRA, and then you can avoid that. You will always have RMDs on your regular retirement accounts, okay? Now, so which one should you do? Let's just look at some other things and criteria. So now that you know the difference between the Roth 401k and the Roth IRA, let's look at some differences. One of the challenges with a 401k typically is you don't have a lot of flexibility in the investment options you have. So you may have some very narrow investment options. And so if in the 401k you have some very limited options and they're not good options, it may not make a lot of sense. Okay. The other thing that can happen in the 401k, because in a Roth IRA, you have complete control of the investment options. Okay. The other thing that can happen in a 401k is that typically a 401k can have higher fees. So you're paying more expenses in your investments, which takes away from your returns. So if the expenses or the fees are too large in the 401k, you might opt for the Roth IRA. But what happens if you do both? Here's my thinking, and this is what I'd like you to consider. You already said that you contributed enough to get 100% of your employer match. Boom. So you've got the match. Second, what if you took and said the next $6,500 or $7,500, whatever you're eligible for, in Roth money is in a Roth IRA, so you have complete control and low fees. And then you come back to your 401k and do the remainder of your contributions in the 401k. So you're doing a hybrid approach to maximize your investing dollars into your investments and into your plans. So that's what I might do, is where I'm doing a combined approach where I get 100% of the match, I move outside, get 100% of the flexibility and the lower fees in the IRA, and then I come back in and hit as much as I can back into the Roth 401k. So hopefully, I know I threw a lot at you there, but I think that there's a lot of different ways to look at that. So great questions. So I love these questions that are coming in. Let's see if anything's coming in online, and or if anyone wants to come on live and ask a question, we can do that. If not, I have one more question that I'm going to answer before we close out, because I got another live that I'm doing in just a little bit here. So I love doing this. So for real estate investments, when to get a loan versus paying cash. Essentially, what is the best route for getting a return on your investment? I don't want to pay more over the long term. Maria, let's just see. I don't want to pay more over the long term. So this is a great question, Maria. So here's the thing. Personally like to avoid loans altogether, but I don't know how else to increase my portfolio. So here's one of the amazing things with real estate is that I can tie up a piece of real estate with a down payment and a loan. So we need to understand, we got New Zealand in the house. This is cool. Thanks, James. So think about this. I want to buy a $300,000 piece of property. I put 10% down. I've got it locked up for $30,000. So my investment is $30,000. But that also means that I have a $270,000 mortgage. Now, each investment, you want to make sure that you're doing the analysis on it. Here's my belief. You do not buy real estate for appreciation alone. You always buy real estate with the expectation of cash flow up front. That means that I need to do the analysis, say, if I bought this $300,000 piece of property, $30,000 down, $270,000 loan, with the expenses of insurance, maintenance, real estate taxes, what kind of rent I could get, will I be cash flow positive? Okay. Will I be cash flow positive? If the answer is no, I wouldn't do the deal. That's just me, but that's my criteria. I do not want to go into an investment, a real estate investment, that isn't going to cash flow from day one. Now, I know that I might have improvements, I might have vacancy, and there may be some elements there, but the level of rents I should be able to get should be able to cover mortgage, interest, insurance, maintenance, all of the costs, and still put a little bit of money in my pocket. Here's why this is important. Real estate's one of the only investments that you can get into that I can get into with a percentage down and not 100%. Now, you can margin stocks and do all of that, but the bottom line is typically, if I'm investing in a stock, it's dollar for dollar. This I can get in for 10%, 20%, 30%, 5%, depending, but it has to cash flow. When you buy a piece of real estate, you get a deduction for the interest and all the expenses, but you also get to depreciate the purchase price, the $300,000. So you get a tax write-off. Real estate gives you a tax write-off. Real estate gives you the possibility of appreciation. The value of the $300,000 could go up to $330,000 or $350,000. That's appreciation. So that's the second way you get a return. The third way you get a return is equity build. When that person's paying rent, they're effectively paying your mortgage down. If the mortgage is $270 and 5 years from now it's $250, you just got $20,000 paid down on a mortgage by someone else. That gives you equity build. That's the third way you get a return. The fourth way you get a return is what I just talked about, getting cash flow from rents net of expenses every month. It's one of the only investments that's going to give you 4 ways to get a return, but it still needs to be analyzed and it needs to make sense. Now, at the same time, I want you to understand something. A real estate investment in some ways is more complicated with more moving parts and more friction than other investments, because in order to buy a piece of real estate, you're going to probably pay expenses of 5-6% to get in. If I want to sell it, I'm going to take 5-6% to get out. So the friction cost to get in and out of the investment is a little more. The complexity of managing the investment is a little more, because now you're a landlord. You need to understand landlord-tenant laws. And I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you to inform you so you make sure that you understand a real estate investment is different. Here's the other thing that you need to be aware of. And Maria, I love this question, is this idea that if all you had was $30,000 to invest, should you go $30,000 into one piece of real estate, or should you put it somewhere else? If I invest in a single piece of real estate, I have no diversification. All I have is one investment, and we got to start somewhere. So I get it. The whole idea is that you walk in consciously aware and intentional, understanding all the parameters of what you're getting into. So if I'm putting 100% of my investing dollars into getting into a property, then that means that all my eggs are in that property basket. That's it. So I have no diversification to reduce or mitigate any risk. Totally fine if you want to make that choice consciously. I just want you to be aware of it. So the alternative is, like you said, should I just pay for it cash? Well, if you have the cash availability, great. If you don't, then it becomes problematic because you're now not going to be able to get in. Here's the other side of that. If I get into a $300,000 piece of property for $30,000, my investment is $30,000. Let's say that $300,000 piece of property, I'm doing this is cowboy math, folks, so don't hold me to it. But let's say that now the property is worth $350,000. I put $30,000 in for a $300,000 property. It's worth $350,000. My mortgage on it was $270,000. Let's say the mortgage is $260,000. It went down $10,000 because the rents that were being paid the mortgage down. So when I sell that property at $350,000, they take the mortgage out, forget the expenses for now, just to make the math easy, of $260,000. I get $90,000 in my hand, more or less, because I got to pay the selling expenses, is probably going to be 6%. But that $90,000 in my hand is the return of the $30,000 plus $60,000 on top of it. I actually triple my money. But if I did that 100% cash, I would be making $90,000 on a $300,000 investment. It's a little different game. The reason you can make the kind of money you make in real estate is because of the fact that you're able to leverage the real estate. Okay, so hopefully that helps, Maria. Let me know if that helped. Cool. I did it fast. I kind of went through it, but hopefully that helped. Awesome. I see my buddy Brad is in the house too. So, all right, y'all. If there's other questions, post them in. Let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Awesome, Maria. So good to hear. All right. Hey, y'all. Here's the deal. I do these things regularly. Here's what I want you to do. When questions come up, I want you to go to askmelnow.com. Submit your questions. I'll list them out. I'll come through them. I'll go through them just like I did here live. If there are questions that are more involved, I'll bring you on live. If they're questions that I think make sense, I'll ask you to be a guest on my show. We'll highlight you. We'll have the conversation. I'll coach you through it. But I need you to reach out to me and send me the questions. Go to askmelnow.com. Submit the questions. Let's do it. All right. Here's the deal. We're in the tail end of the year. And as you start to reflect on what happened this year, I want you to focus on what's going to happen next year. I want you to embrace the promise and the possibility of your future, because it is here. To realize that financial freedom is your birthright, whether you know how to get there or not. You have a pathway to do it. That pathway is to be in a community of people where you have conversations that are sane, safe, and are unbiased. I got no investments to sell you. I got no insurance to sell you. I simply want you to be sold on your dreams, on the possibility of achieving those dreams, to be able to go out there and say, I know that I'm living the legacy I was meant to live, that the moments of my life will matter because I am living the moments based on my desires, based on my calling, based on what is driving me. That's what I think we ought to be looking at in 2023. Whatever is going on in the market, the uncertainty, the volatility, all that stuff, it's going to happen. We have no control of it, but we can control how we respond. We can control how we show up. We can control the gifts we bring to the world. We can control the value we create in the world. And when we control that, we can control our outcomes. All right. If there's anything I can do to support you, reach out to me, DM me, go to askmelnow.com, follow me, share this out. Let's keep this conversation going. Let's make a difference. Let's give you the guidance you need. Let's move you forward. So when we have this conversation a year from now, your financial situation is completely different. All right. You guys have an incredible holiday season, and we'll make sure that we're here in the process. All right. So let me see this. Maria says, the financial side of this real estate business confuses me in terms of loans and tax breaks. Where can I go to get deeper understanding? Let me just look at the time. Maria, I got a few more minutes. Let's bring you on live. Let's have a conversation. How about that? Let's see if I can help you out before I close this thing out. I hear you. There, you're back. All right. So.
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much for getting me on again. That's incredible.
Yeah. Absolutely. So here's what happens. Tell me a little bit more about your specific question. See if I can guide you.
So what I've been, I guess, confused with is there are a couple real estate things in my portfolio. So I had sold some apartment complexes we had, and then of course the capital gains really impacted my taxes there.
Yeah.
And my dad wanted me to go in on buying this new apartment complex in Columbus, Ohio. So we did, and then we got a loan for that.
Yeah.
But I could have paid for that in cash. I wanted to use that money in case I wanted to utilize it in my new business in a different way. So I wanted to hold on to that. So I just didn't know what to do there. But now, I'm at the point where it's like, okay, I'm using all of my distribution checks to pay for the loan payments, and then I'm paying $1,000 additional to that. So I'm just kind of like, is this really beneficial?
So did you get a personal loan to go into the investment, or it was the loan against the property?
It was a personal loan.
Oh, that's different.
Personal loan. And so my banker, anyways, what is this?
So that's a different animal.
It's a commercial.
It's a commercial loan, but it's not being paid by the rents. You're paying it out of your distributions.
I'm paying it with my distributions. That's correct.
Yeah, so it's not a loan that the property rents are paying for directly. It's not like a mortgage.
No. So there are just so many. There's a couple different implications with this property. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little different animal than what I was explaining, because what I was explaining is that you're financing the purchase of the property. What you are doing is financing the purchase of the investment.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is that that's a little different game, because your distribution, because you have this debt service that you're going to have to pay, that the only place it can come from is your income or the distributions from the property. Is it covering all the costs? The distributions?
Well, I guess I don't know 100% of every aspect of the financial end of it, because I'll just tell you a little bit for this property alone. Like, we actually had to essentially have like the state had to purchase a portion of it too, so that we could actually acquire it. It's a really big property. It's a $55 million property.
Okay.
So yeah.
So clearly you're not the only investor.
I'm not the only investor. We got a couple partners for this, and then the state too, which it's the first time I've gotten into a property where we've had to bring the state into it too. Because my previous experience was just me, my dad, and we had another business partner, and we acquired much more affordable properties, and I've just never had to go through this.
Yeah.
Before, so I don't even really understand it or how to make it work for me financially. It's just been stressful.
Yeah, so you're in a whole different world at this property level. This isn't a small apartment building. This is a syndication, if you will, of sorts. So what's going to happen at the property level is they're going to collect the rents, they're going to pay the expenses, they're going to depreciate the $55 million property. They're going to pass through probably a K-1 to you that says, here's your net income or your net expense, your net loss. You're going to have your distributions that come out of the property that will come to you. But on the outside of that investment, you also have this debt service that you have to pay. So the interest on that debt service will likely be classified. I don't know for sure, but it likely be classified as investment interest. And investment interest has got some limitations on how it's deducted, but all the deductions for the property itself will be done at the property level and pass through to you on a K-1. So they'll take the depreciation, they'll take all of the insurance, the taxes, all that stuff, and then you'll get your percentage of the net, whatever your ownership percentage will pass through. But then you have this other piece of financing that you have basically interest payments on, that you've got to think about, is it deductible? And it could be deductible as investment interest, but you got to look at that. That's the only deduction that would be at your personal level. The rest is going to be at the property level.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a little more complicated to do it, and you got to look at it and say how, because I don't know that you got to look at the terms of this personal loan or this commercial loan and your ability to pay it back. And, if the property doesn't pay distributions, all that stuff becomes important. But you said that you have cash, that you could have done it in cash, but you didn't because you want the liquidity for the business, which is fine. But you still, if the business starts to take off, you have that cash, you could probably pay that loan off and get it off your back, as long as the business is producing cash.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, is there sort of like maybe a safe type of formula to go by, that if I've got a certain amount of cash, like, should I invest it in, or should I not?
So what we typically do in the Affluence Blueprint is, first things first, I want people to have $1,500 or 1 month's minimum expenses in cash, in a high yield cash account, to cover them if, God forbid, the transmission goes out, something. Okay. I don't want you to have any kind of destructive consumer debt. So we want to stop running credit card balances for consumer debt. Your debt isn't consumer debt, that's investment debt. Okay. Then I want you to start to make sure that you have a liquidity account, an emergency fund, or what we call a peace of mind fund. I want people to have 9 to 18 months, depending on their situation. Once you have 6 months in there and you're building to the 9 to 18 months, you then can start putting money into investments. But if you don't have the liquidity to sustain yourself in a downturn, and you have everything in debt, you're going to be in trouble if something goes wrong. You're going to be in trouble because you don't have the liquidity. And it's why we turn around and say, let's build liquidity first. And there's going to be people saying, cash is trash, we shouldn't have cash, and you're losing to inflation. But that cash isn't meant to be an investment. That cash is meant to be the peace of mind that you need to sustain yourself if things go bad. If you can't work for some reason, if all of a sudden there's a medical issue, or the tenants, or there's a, like in California, if there's an earthquake and that, God forbid, there's an earthquake and the building has problems, and portions of it get condemned, all that stuff can affect the investment. And if you're subject to paying the debt service from the distributions, but the distributions aren't coming in, and you don't have liquidity to sustain it, now you have a problem. So we build liquidity first to a point where you have the latitude. So when things go over the edge, if they do, you aren't going over the edge with it. Okay. Then we start to pull in the investments more readily. But I don't like it when people are living on the edge. Every dollar is going to an investment. They got no liquidity. If someone was invested today, let's say they invested at the beginning of the year in Tesla stock, in one stock. I know, Pam, sorry about that, about talking about earthquakes. But if you invested in Tesla stock at the beginning of the year, it was over $300 a share. It's down at $135 a share now. Well, if that's where you had all your money and you were in debt, you couldn't sell to get out enough to pay the debt. And so that's the thing we need to be aware of, is I need to have the flexibility and the liquidity to know that I am not dead in the water if things go against me. It may take longer to build wealth that way, but it will give you a much greater peace of mind, less stress, no more heartburn, and your blood pressure will stay down.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great explanation. Thank you so much.
You got it.
That definitely helped. That's very helpful.
You got it. You keep crushing it. You keep rocking, and know that we're here for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mel.
All right. Awesome, you all. You guys go out there. You have an incredible day. And in the process, you make sure that you have an incredible holiday season, and know that 2023 is around the corner. We're gonna blow the doors off 2023 together. We're gonna shift things and a new financial trajectory and destiny for y'all. But you got to be in the game with me. You got to be on the journey with me. You got to take action with me. All right. So let's grab a hold of it and let's do this thing together. Okay. Until we get a chance to see each other on another episode, another show, or another live. As I always say, always strive to live a life that outlives you. Cheers. Bless you all.